Good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Pitch Track Chronicles. I'm Tats. I'm here with Donald and all of you fine people in the chat. How is everybody doing? Hopefully we're all doing better than the Yankees offense, as they took they're taking a little vacation right now. So I will be on vacation next week. So it's I know we all need a vacation. But this is not the time for the Yankees offense to do so. As you know, I came on here Monday, Donald, and I closed out the show. And I was a little harsh on the fans for their take, and just not being able to, not allowing themselves to enjoy the record the Yankees had. Saying that this is the team with a lot of flaws that was still really thriving in the AL East. And while yes, they are still in first place, if they keep playing like this, it's not going to last much longer. And it's you're going to start to see the division just tighten up a little bit, and start to really come into form. The pitching, I'm giving them an absolute pass from this series. I think that not only did they earned it, they earned a free pass on their ability because they were outstanding. The offense just never showed up to the games. We had to wait for a bench player with Ahmed Rosario, to kind of save the day and get us at least one win in the series. And you think about all the other names in that lineup, that's not the guy, as much as you appreciate what he was able to do for one day, you're not going to lean on him, to kind of be the savior, with a swing. Those are supposed to be the players like a Judge and Stanton, Bellinger, and those are the three guys, because I really don't depend on a lot of the other guys to be that, that source of, bringing the momentum back into the Yankees' favor. Everybody else is just kind of like a complimentary piece to those guys. But they really, the Yankees, look, I went strong defending you guys, and this is the reward I get. That's the Yankees owe me big time for putting, for ending up having me put my foot in my mouth. So, F you Yankees, F you lineup. You guys did absolutely nothing. Nothing. Are they going to be able to do it every series? Let's even put Rice in that conversation with Judge Stanton and Bellinger, because Rice is a legit hitter. But they better start doing better than this. And it all comes down to the bottom of the lineup. You have Caballero's done nothing. You're getting Wells that, I thought would have a better start to the year. And I mean, the biggest culprit of the Yankee failures is McMahon. McMahon is batting 069. 069. And as guys, you hear that number, you can all chuckle, but there's nothing to laugh at. That's embarrassing. You're a major league player. You're not a rookie that just kind of has not found his way yet. You're a veteran player at this point, dude. You've got to do better. There's no excuse for the output that you have given us. And I'm not talking about his defense. His defense is fine. But, I mean, you can't be a major league hitter at this point in the season with a 0 in front of your batting average. Unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. And it's going to be interesting to see where he falls in the rankings of the awards that are not in the positive favor. But that is neither here nor there. Good morning, everybody. Luca, good morning to you. Before we really get into the full swing of things, I'm going to toss it over to Luca to give his little take on things. Donald, we have the series awards upcoming. Just make sure you do hit that like button, hit that sub button, and share this video out. If you were able to enjoy a little bit of the shows on the channel yesterday, Donald had his first Yankified, so make sure you check that out. And it was a gem. Also, we also Thursdays at 7:30 we had Chris Northrup on the short porch. Make sure you do check that out because she took a very deep analysis on the old school philosophy mixed in with the new philosophy of hitting and how it can all blend together to create a very successful offense. Make sure you check that show out. She made some really great takes, really great points. With that, Luca, how you doing, bro?
First of all, happy Friday. Good morning to all. Hope everybody is enjoying their Friday, or very early Friday morning, that is. Um, Nothing short of embarrassing when it comes to the Yankee lineup. We've pointed this out. We've pointed this out in many different ways. The bottom four of the order is utterly embarrassing. And I saw somebody complain on Twitter that talking about whether Rosario, some people wanted whether it was McMahon to be benched, McMahon not to be benched, or something like that. Something from I don't know if it was like Yankee Report or whatever. But the problem I found with Rosario's performance, not so much his performance because he was phenomenal in that first game because he hit the 3-run home run and he hit the solo home run. It was more so that it masked basically an entire problem. One player carried an entire lineup. Stan had the other RBI, but one player carried the entire lineup. They should have never been down to Adam Chivali. They should have never been down.
Yeah.
The second game, the third game, once again, embarrassing. Austin Wells is in his fourth season in the big leagues. He's embarrassing as a hitter at the plate. Caballero, sure as hell, I'm sorry, disappointing. Not that we were expecting him to hit 300 or have an 1,000 OPS, but even just average numbers, not even. Ryan McMahon, we all knew he was porous offensively. Defensively, he's phenomenal, but he's just awful. Just complete awful doesn't even describe how bad he's hitting at the plate. And then the Yankees are throwing this guy at shortstop. What are we doing? My personal opinion, don't think he should be played at short, whatever. It's disgusting because as I said, we've covered this in multiple ways before. I've said this multiple times that the left side of the Yankee infield is going to be a problem if there's no offensive force on that side. Caballero's not an offensive force. McMahon's not an offensive force. And here's Jazz Chisholm's obviously not hitting. Here's another thing. Ahmed Rosario can't play four positions at the same time. I don't know if Aaron Boone or not even Aaron Boone. I don't know if Brian Cashman thought that was possible. I think he'd be psycho if he thought that was possible. Ahmed Rosario, as hot as he was, cannot play four positions. And I see massive. It's not even bottom of the order, too. Trent Grisham, me and Donald talked about. Where is he? Where is he? He's completely ghosted us. He's been awful. There are multiple holes in this lineup right now. And it's not that, it's like this, that, and the third, or it's kind of like revisionism. No, we were calling this in the offseason saying, hey, this team needs a right-handed power bat like nobody's business. They need another force offensively. We got three guys hitting. Hellinger, Stanton, and Rice. That's it. That's why we lost the series. It wasn't because of the pitching. I mean, Rosario accounted for 4 of the runs on the first game. You had 2 runs, and then you got shut out. So the Yankees deserve to lose this series. I don't know how Boone's going to try to mask this. I don't know what they're going to try to do. Do they call up a Jason Dominguez and say, hey, you know what? We need offense as soon as possible? I don't think they're going to be that quick. Do they call up somebody for the infield? I don't know. But 3 of your infielders are not hitting. That is a problem. One of your outfielders is not hitting. That's a problem. That's 4. 5, your catcher is not hitting. Atrocious.
Like, where's Oswaldo Cabrera when you need him? At least he gave a shit.
Exactly. Yes. I suggest that on the Wednesday. I'd be like, hey, good time to call up Oswaldo Cabrera. Can play multiple positions. And Rosario.
Yeah, but Donald, well, I know you had a lot to say yesterday, but you want to add to anything?
As I broke down, I mean, you're looking at 2/3 of the lineup that's not really doing anything. Certainly 5 guys are an absolute automatic out, and that's not the Burger Company. Austin Wells, he has 0 homers, 0 RBIs, just 1 extra base hit. Ryan McMahon has no extra base hits. He's an abomination. 0.69 batting average, as Taz points out. Randall Grichuk, he has provided donuts right across the board, which is pretty impressive over 5 games, 5 at-bats. Donuts right across the board, so that was a good pickup. JC Escara, that's again donuts across the board for JC. I mean, that's a significant. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like 5 names I've mentioned already. Jazz Chisholm, he has 0 home runs, 186 batting average. He's only on base 25% of the time. He's worrisome. Jose Caballero, that's another problem right there. He only has 1 extra base hit. Dude, I've mentioned like almost the majority of the Yankee offensive roster I have named that only has 1 like extra base hit between them, or 2 at the most. Trent Grisham, he's another one. 162 batting average. That's not really a surprise because if you look at his career average, that's actually kind of in line with him, man. So only Brian Cashman thought that he was worth what he gave him in the qualifying offer. He has 2 extra base hits, so that's not up to anything. So that's it. That is like the majority of your roster that's providing nothing, right? Then you get into Cody Bellinger, and I would even, I mean, he hasn't really provided any power either, to be honest, but he's one of the better hitters. He's batting 238, 1 home run. He has 3 extra base hits. That's, by the way, that's the guy that we spent the entire offseason on our hands and knees begging for. You know what I'm saying? Ironically, or you would argue our third best hitter has actually been Ahmad Rosario. He has the 3rd most home runs on our roster. It's Ben Rice, Aaron Judge, Ahmad Rosario. But no, I think our best hitters so far this year has easily been Stanton and Ben Rice, by far. After that, nothing. So yeah, I mean, I've named like the majority of our roster right there, and nobody's hitting. Now I understand it's 11 games; you can't make any massive judgments. But as I pointed out in Yankified, where's the solutions? Where are the solutions? And the problem
Here lies the issue.
There's no solutions coming, right? Like, the only solution for Ryan McMahon is Ahmad Rosario, which is fine. Okay, that's possibly one. But again, Rosario is not really an everyday third baseman, but there are no solutions. Shortstop, there's no solution to shortstop. It's Caballero and then Anthony Volpe. And Anthony Volpe, I mean, all he is a really good example of why you guys need to get Pepto-Bismol to watch him play baseball. So that's not really a solution. So then, is there any other shortstops? No, George Lombard. He's a while away. Okay, so there's no real solutions coming up at shortstop. Jazz Chisholm. I mean, we're locked in on Jazz here. If it doesn't work out, then There's not anybody coming through in the minor leagues. Catcher, that's even more worrisome. I mean, you're looking at somebody that Austin Wells has not been a major league hitter properly in 2 seasons. He has been he's basically been slumping since God knows when. Like since prior to last season, he's been slumping. That's how long his slump has been lasting. That's no longer a slump. That's just him. And what's your solution to him? JC Escara, I've already mentioned. He's donuts across the board as well. Okay, so then if you're like, right, no, we need to make a change of catcher, then what you have to do is you have to move Ben Rice over from first to catcher. But that's robbing Peter to pay Paul, as I mentioned in yesterday's episode. So you can't do that, really. You can't really rob Peter to pay Paul. Ben Rice is actually starting to look like a good first baseman. Then you kind of shuffle him around, and now he has to learn the pitching staff. That's probably asking a lot of the guy. So then so basically, long story short, there's no solutions at catcher. There's no solution really at shortstop. No solution at third base. And you have to hope that Jazz, turns it around and gives you a 40-40 season. If not, and then what's your solution in the outfield? If Trent Grisham bats 100, then your solution is Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones. Well, I mean, they don't trust Jason Dominguez, and to be fair, he looks like an adventure in left field, even still. So then the other option would be Spencer Jones. I love Spencer Jones, but he is striking out a lot in AAA. So I'll be honest, and there's no righty bats either forthcoming. No righty power bats forthcoming. This is all internally. So then that means that we'd have to go external to search for a solution, and it's too early to do that. You're not going to get any trades at this stage. So at the moment, this is what you got, and there's no solutions coming. You have to hope. But the truth is, of those guys that I mentioned, which ones are you expecting to turn this around? Austin Wells? I mean, you'd have to be a brave, brave man to bet that Austin Wells is going to turn this around. Ryan McMahon's not hit in 2 years. You'd have to be a brave, brave man to turn this around, to think that Ryan McMahon's going to turn this around. Ryan McMahon's not turning this around. This is him, by the way, guys. Austin Wells, I think this is him. Caballero, this is him. I like him as a player, but he's a slap hitter at best. Okay. And Volpe stinks. So, I mean, there's no solutions coming in these key areas. So then you're looking at 5 or at least at best 4 automatic outs in this lineup. And you can't survive that way. So the only one of that's not hitting right now that I think will start hitting is Aaron Judge and Cody Bellinger. That's it. At the moment, our lineup is consisted of Ben Rice and Stanton. That's not sustainable. But it's not surprising either. That's why you do not roll back a same roster that is fundamentally flawed. That's why you do not do it. It was an act of arrogance and almost self-sabotage and gaslighting of extreme proportions to roll back a roster that is so fundamentally flawed. And to say, just before I finish, it's just like where Brian Cashman kept saying, "Oh, we're the number one offense. We're number one offense." As I pointed out, we were the number one offense because we kind of got lighting in a bottle with Trent Grisham having a career year, Bellinger having the best year that he's had in 3 or 4 seasons, Ben Rice surprising everybody, and Aaron Judge having one of the best regular seasons in modern history, right? And that's not really hyperbole either to say so. So that's kind of why we were the number one offense. You are asking all of that to happen exactly the same this season, and that's asking a lot. You're asking Grisham to have back-to-back career years? That's unlikely. You're asking Aaron Judge to have, 4 straight generational years? I mean, you're starting to really push the boat out a little bit. Okay? It's not likely. So I'm not expecting this to turn around. I'm expecting 1 or 2 guys to turn this around. I'm expecting Aaron Judge. Kind of Bellinger, but this is kind of Bellinger as well. He's not a power hitter. His power is for the short porch. On the road, he doesn't have any power. So there are some serious problems, but Brian Cashman paid no attention to it. And he decided that the best thing to do was just to gaslight us and tell us that there were no issues and it's your fault if you think there are. So it's a worry.
No, it's a huge concern. I don't think it was a mirage. I think it was, things were clicking. TC, I don't think it was a mirage. I think it was clicking, and trending in a direction, that just never came to fruition. Because we came into a series, and these are these series where, and we're going to get to the awards momentarily, this is that series where these games, I put it in our chat, these are the games that bite you in September. These are the series that you just let them slip away. And when you're looking at the loss column at the end of the year, and you're in a tight race with the Jays, or if the Red Sox figure it out, which I think they will, but to think that the Yankees sitting in first place can't figure it out, I think, look, we're not even through April yet. It's hard to completely, like, it's 12 games in. I'm not going to say that this is the way that it's going to look the whole season. But to what's been said, by Donald and everybody, there's limited assistance coming from the minor leagues, and what we thought we were getting out of certain players have not come, into play yet. That's where the problem is. We have a guy like Weathers yesterday that probably had one of his better pitch games that he's had in his career.
Yeah, right.
I don't care what the lineup is. I don't care what team you're facing. Everybody's a major league, ball player. They all should be held. Some are above others, but they're all major league players, and they should never be dismissed. So, when you get a guy like Weathers, who is kind of your, 5A, 5B with Warren, you got to take advantage of when they have these outings. And the Yankees offense was not able to capitalize on it. That to me is more of a concern of the overall batting averages and what their numbers are. That's where these are the games that are stolen from you, or you just you let them into your house and says, "Yeah, take it. I don't want it." And you held the door open and you let this team come in that doesn't even have a freaking city right now that they can call home.
Right.
Right. They're just the A's. They're not Oakland. They're not Sacramento. They're not Vegas. They're just the A's. They don't have a home. You let these squatters come in and just take everything out of your house, and you're like, "Huh, see you later. Have fun." That to me is that's where my frustrations are. But like I said, we're going to analyze.
They're like the traveling circus. I do want to jump on Nez's comment, and then Luca.
Yep.
They'll start hitting once the weather gets warmer and the starting pitching is better, so they will win close to, if not 100 games. At this point, I'm not really doubting that they're probably going to win 90 plus. But what I'm saying is, I think this roster is built almost was an overcorrection in terms of pitching. I think it's completely built around the pitching as an overcorrection. What I'm saying is, Ness is saying they'll start hitting once the weather gets warmer. Who are you expecting to start hitting once the weather gets warmer? That's my point. McMahon has not hit properly in 2 years. Wells hasn't hit properly, probably since he came up. Volpe hasn't really hit properly since he came up. Caballero's never that guy. Okay? Grisham had a career year last year. You're asked. I mean, that's the only guy that you could maybe make a claim that could maybe replicate what he did last year. But again, it's really, really unlikely. That's what I'm saying. I mean, the guys that you think that will start hitting absolutely is Aaron Judge, guaranteed. It's a locked in. He will.
I think when
Absolutely.
he starts going, everything will follow.
Probably he's going to make up for a lot, but you can't make up for 5 guys that don't hit. I don't care who you are. You know what I'm saying? You can't carry the whole thing by yourself. And Big G will do his thing, but he's already red hot. You know what I'm saying? Ben Rice is going to do his thing. He's already red hot. So yeah, sure. Aaron Judge is will certainly push this lineup up into the upper half tier. But when you're again, I'm not talking about are we going to miss the playoffs or not. I'm pretty confident we're going to make the playoffs. That's not my argument. My argument is beyond that.
Yeah.
And this team is just not cut out to make any real damage. I mean, the pitching's fine. It's built basically for your starting pitching to go 6-7 innings, hand it off to Fernando Cruz, and then hand it off to Bednar. If you follow that, then we'll win more games than we lose. I'm not arguing against that. That's basically why we've got the record that we have right now. Our pitching has been brilliant. You hand off to one of our better high leverage relievers, and you hand off to Bednar, and we've been winning more than we've been losing. But is it sustainable to keep running like that? No, it's not. And I think I've already named the majority of our position players don't hit. The bench doesn't hit. And half our lineup doesn't hit, and that's not going to change.
No, and the problem is, and here's another underlying problem. And I promise we'll get into the awards as soon as I finish what I'm saying. But we're only, these games have all been decided by a run, maybe 2. So it's not like, we're out of these games and they're just non-competitive. But when you're going against the A's and you have 2 hits in 17 innings, you have a serious foundational problem with your offense.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When your key guys, right? It's Judge, he's in the front of the line, Stanton, Rice, then Bellinger. Because I think Judge, Stanton, and Rice are your 3 guys that really just have to keep it going, and they're going to be the catalyst for everything else behind them. There's nobody on this roster that you go and all right, well, if they're struggling, at least we know we have these guys coming up that can carry the mantle. The Yankees didn't structure themselves that way, and that to me is the bigger problem. It's not. Justifying, jumping ship and rooting for another team. We've only played 12 games. That's why if this was going on, if this is still going on in June, you're going to see a very different attitude from me. I promise you that. You guys have been with us for years. I even have my breaking point. But we're not being completely dismantled in these games. They're winnable games that it's just one hit can alter things, and then it's not getting it done, and it's up and down the lineup. We could say, well, Judge is the captain; he's supposed to be leading it. But when he's struggling, who's going to carry the torch for him? Well, Stanton. Well, Stanton's struggling. And then when those 2 guys are struggling, then what? Then you're fucked. But
look at what's your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, I was going to say 2 points. Number one, every single offseason, you can always point to, and this is what's the word I'm looking for? Procrastination, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
Every single offseason, Brian Cashman procrastinates at least one position on this team that he waits till the deadline to go to solve. whether it's third base last year, it could be shortstop this year, or however many positions. You have at least 3-4 positions on the offense in the starting lineup that has been procrastinated. Third base is one of them. You could argue shortstop. Outfield, I mean, Grisham is a Band-Aid, and that's going to bring me to my next point. I said this in the offseason. Last year, bringing back this lineup now, this entire lineup, roster construction-wise, is built on a bunch of hypotheticals. What if Austin Wells turns around? Well, history tells you that he has been a less than average hitter over his major league career. Ben Rice, okay, fine. Jazz Chisholm has the talent, all the talent in the world, has not put it together quite yet in a way that he should. Shortstop, it was Jose Caballero or Anthony Volpe. You really didn't have a great option there in terms of offense. Third base, Ryan McMahon's defense has been great, but his offense has been porous if you've been watching his entire career in Colorado. Left field, Bellinger, okay. Grisham, well, here's the thing with Bellinger. We talked about constantly how this dude, and he's not the biggest problem, obviously, but how the dude literally can go from one season to the next and you have no clue what the hell he's going to do. It's been very much Jekyll and Hyde-ish. Trent Grisham, largely throughout his career, he's been a fourth outfielder. Last year was the lone exception where he was starting and he was hitting 30 home runs. That's never, ever going to happen again. I will say that for the record. That is never, ever going to happen again. That was a contract year. That is, anybody who knows, as I said last year, it was the contract year phenomenon on so much an example, so symbolic. But yet the Yankees decided, okay, we'll wait another year. We'll pass that off. But Trent Grisham, the way that he's playing, same thing with McMahon. They both deserve to be DFA'd.
Right. And then you add the fact that our course correction from DJ LeMahieu was Ryan McMahon.
It's actually a step backwards.
Right. There's no difference. You're now just paying more. You almost trebled down on it. It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
You got the same players but healthy, and you pay more money.
Hit from the right side. At least DJ hit from the right side and could actually make contact and get on base a couple times.
There's so many directions we can go, and none of them lead to a happy ending right now. That's just where it's at. But where it is at is on the award segment, as we are getting to. So if you want to get involved, just make sure you drop your comments, and we will take all your votes for the awards into consideration. So let's get to it.
Right, the MVP. Ben Rice next. Look at
Ben Rice.
I guess you could say that. I guess you could say Ahmed Rosario for single-handedly carrying an entire team on his back. That's my MVP for one win in this series. He literally masked an entire lineup full of Agapit. So I'll go with Ahmed Rosario.
Uncle Tats.
I have Schlittler. I'm not giving. I can't give that high of an award to an offense that disappeared. Sorry, not sorry. Schlittler just really showed that he can do it. He'll have an. I thought what really stood out with him is he had that one rough inning where he gave up the 3 runs, and then was able to get right back to form. And still was able to manage some punch outs. And get a couple of extra innings out of them without having to jump to the bullpen. So my MVP was Schlittler.
My low key, by the way, the chat to Chris. She goes in Ben Rice. TC's going Rosario. TC's MVP is going Cam, according to Stevie B. Okay, so low key, that's what I'm giving to Rosario. Low key MVP is Rosario for me. Look at.
I'll go Cam Schlittler. Me and Donald were literally discussing on Wednesday how we have such a high bar for Cam Schlittler that obviously one could argue that it wasn't his best start against the A's. Still pretty damn good though.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, that's why I kept him at the top, because that's what you want your ace to do. Be able to, all right, you got me that inning and pick himself back up. My low key, I went with Weathers. I thought his start before this series was very suspect. Left a lot to be desired, and I think that's a term I actually used with him. We expected better, and he gave us better. He gave the bullpen a night off, able to go into go 7. So I thought the starting pitching this series was absolutely phenomenal. I thought the bullpen this series was phenomenal. So, and the exception of Bednar, but every closer is going to lose one here or there.
I like Chris's suggestion. Tim Hill. That's a good suggestion.
No, Tim Hill, like I said, the pitching was not the problem this series at all. That's why the top end of my awards is really very pitcher friendly. I went with Weathers. I thought he really, he made the adjustments from his previous start, and that's what you want to see, regardless of if they're the ace or your 5-spot guy.
Yeah, no, I understand that. So, right, move on. We're going to Joe Barros. Shout out to you, man. Low key was Weathers. Okay, cool. And I do agree with TC. The Bednar is being overused. I do agree with that. Okay, go with the Clutch Award. My Clutch Award. This is easy. This is surely unanimous. It's Rosario. Rosario's home run. If without that 3-run home run, the Yankees lose that game, and we get swept. So he pimped it. It was a great moment. And 6 months from now, when content creators are doing a montage of the season, that moment will be in that montage with him going. I love the energy. He's A+ for energy, and I think that's why I would have him kind of play more than McMahon. Not just because he's a better hitter, but I think he's a better presence. I like his energy. It seems like he's locked in. So yeah, locked in for sure. Rosario, without what he did in Game 1, the Yankees basically get no hit through the entire season, apart from a couple hits from Ben Rice. So yeah, give me Rosario all day. Luca.
Am I allowed to double up on Rosario's, having him as the MVP and the clutch player?
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Okay, I'm going to double up.
Amen. Uncle T.
Yeah, Luca just said, I think I had a low-key MVP and an L to the same player last year because they had a phenomenal game, but they made one mistake that almost cost them a game. So doubling up is definitely in the rule book. I wanted to give it to Stanton for that, the RBI single that kind of led to them being able to get the lead. But if you don't have Rosario as your clutch, then you really just would not pay attention. So yes, Rosario definitely, he is our clutch player of the series. He's the only bat that gave a shit.
Okay, we move on. Pitching award. I mean, I think that's pretty easy. Weathers. Although shout out to Tim Hill, but yeah, Weathers for me. Luca?
I must agree, Ryan Weathers. He balled out.
I had everyone. I thought the pitching staff was great. You said I can't kill Bednar because one, like TC said, he's been used a lot this year. So it was really a matter of time before he just had a rough day, and I'm not going to punish him for it. I don't think that's fair. This is a very scrappy lineup, and it was a great at bat to get that run in, off him. So I really don't want to. I don't want to give anything negative to the pitching staff. For the pitching, I give it from the starters to the bullpen to the closer. I thought they all had a great. They gave everything they had.
Okay, next one. Nez is almost reading minds. We're going to be talking Aaron Boone next. Aaron Boone out of 10. I'll go last. So Luka,
I mean, I don't like his comments about McMahon talking about how he'll find. I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was more of the same gaslighting. But also, he's being handed pretty
Yeah.
shitty bats. So you have to kind of like, in fairness, give him the benefit of the doubt. I'll go like a fair 6. Like that's fair.
okay. We got all different kind of ranges here from the chat. All right, Uncle Tats.
Yeah. I originally had him as a 0 just because it was that bad of a series. But I like, he had a Rosario, you got Rosario in the next game and shuffled McMahon to short and trying to just do something different, but I'm leaving him at a 3. It's he can't swing the bat for everybody. So with the entire offense is failing, how do you put a lineup together that's going to come out of it? So I think that I thought he made a lot of good decisions with the pen. I can't it's not like he's dealing with world beaters.
No.
So we didn't get swept because a sweep is an automatic 0, but I can't really give him any high praise. So I'm going to keep it at a 3.
Oh, Stevie V's corrected it. I thought he gave it 9 out of 10. I was like, wow, that is really generous. -9. Right. Okay. That sounds like Stevie B. All right. FJ giving him a 3. Joy B is giving him a 5.5. Stuff and thanks. Salute to you. Getting a big fat 0. Chris.
I also agree with CC. I don't think he was the problem this series.
Yeah. Chris describes him as useless. TC's giving him a 5. I'm going to give him a 4 out of 10. But as I've said before, it's going to take a lot for me to blame Aaron Boone for a series because, like, he can only manage what he's got at his disposal, and Brian Cashman has given him very little for $300 odd million. He's given him no new players. He's given him absolutely nothing to work with. So, you can only put the lineup. You can only jig it about as much as you possibly can, considering, as I mentioned, 2/3 of the lineup ain't hitting, and a bunch of those dudes Cashman's acquired. So, I mean, if anything, I'm giving Brian Cashman a 0 because much of our problems in this series is down to this overinflated ego of a GM that we have. Like, he's the reason why we are looking at a really odd season that's coming ahead. You know what I'm saying? So I'm still going to give Aaron Boone a 4 purely because it didn't really make a whole bunch of sense. Like, all right, I'm going to give him the benefit because the reason why he's not getting a 3, he's getting a 4 because he made the right call with Rosario. That was a great call. That won us a game, right? But then you also look at the rest of the series. Why did you have McMahon play short and then Rosario play third? I mean, if you look at their career histories, Rosario can play short. McMahon's never really played short. So even though it looked fine, it was still a weird move. This doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If your Gold Glove third baseman is moved to short, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And then your utility guy plays third. It's like, that's the kind of Boone logic that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I'll be honest about that. But what also doesn't make a whole lot of sense is his management of the bench. How many opportunities were there to put Paul Goldschmidt in? And he's not doing it. Am I wrong? Didn't Goldschmidt hit a 3-run home run last week?
Yes, against the
I
Mariners.
thought so.
Right.
Yeah.
He was the only reason why they won a game. Right. If it wasn't for Ahmad Rosario and Paul Goldschmidt hitting miraculous home runs, the Yankees would have 2 less wins on their record. They'd have the 6-6 record right now. So there was an opportunity to put Goldschmidt in a situation where why else would you have Goldschmidt on the roster then? But no, he didn't do it. Like, what is he expecting? He kept going out with JC Escara. What do you expect is going to happen? He never uses his bench. Why was Gritchick playing? Like, there was some weird things. So that was probably my major takeaway. I was like, that makes it a net negative. And then also, I do echo what Luke is saying, but the stuff that Boone says, like, he's painting Ryan McMahon to be this all-star hitter. He's not. Him being an all-star hitter is long past him. He's no longer that guy. The best you can hope for is a 200 hitter that hits 20 home runs and strikes out 180 times. That's the best you're going to get from him. It's not going to get any better than that. So I don't know quite what he's expecting. I know that he's not going to say that he sucks, but you could also probably just say, yeah, I think Rosario is earning more playing time. You could have said that. You didn't say that, and then I think back to what he said about when Jazz was caught on the being really lazy, and he was like, and he was asked, "Are you going to talk to him?" And he went, "We'll see."
I also didn't like.
Again, that's why. Yeah, look up.
I also didn't like Ryan McMahon. He was asked, basically, why are you struggling? He's like, oh, I don't know, something. Like, who the hell would know? Who the hell would know why you're struggling, dude? You have like 2 hits on the season, and you don't know why you're struggling. I mean, like, I'm not gonna say it's like a layup of an answer, but like, what kind of answer is that to start off with? Oh, I don't know. Who would know?
Well, yeah, exactly. It's not really his fault. How would he know that? No one wants to suck. Unfortunately, he sucks. It's not his fault.
We did get a question in here before we get to the next award. Mr. Barrows is asking if we each manage the Yankees for a game, do you think we can do a better job than Bone?
Not with this
blindfolded.
Actually, no. I'm actually going to say with Joey. I'm actually going to say no, not with this roster. I don't think I could make this team a World Series team with this roster.
This lineup has more holes than Swiss cheese.
Absolutely. So actually, I'm going to give Aaron Boone a lot of credit. I think 8-4 is a testament to how well he's managed this year. I think he's managing well above his level because this roster kind of sucks. I'll be honest. I've said it all offseason, so you don't need to come at me. You've got the receipts. I've said it all offseason. This roster sucks. So we're 8-4. That says a lot about Aaron Boone. Aaron Boone surprised me. He's actually been pretty good.
Yep. Where was the other comment? Here we go. From It's Over. Tonight's game, the Yankees will either win or lose as they return to the Trop.
No one can manage this team. It's horrible. Exactly, Healing Man.
This is why we love our chat so much.
Exactly.
That was a great question. Shout out to Rob's dad. That was actually
it is a good question. With a normal roster, yeah, we could outmanage him blindfolded.
Yeah,
this roster is hard to navigate.
No, absolutely not. Like he's doing a hell of a job. Shout out to Aaron Boone. The only reason I'm giving him 4 is because those reasons that I gave, but it's not really an indicator that he's doing a bad job this year. He's doing a pretty damn good job this year. Yeah, exactly. No, that's his point. You can't make you can't make chicken shit and chicken salad, So anyway, that's that. We'll move on to the L. Good Lord, how long have you got? Well, I need my panel to help me. Start with Luca.
I'm actually I know who's going to be my Aaron Hicks Award already, but I must say the L, Cade Winquest. That dude was on the roster for almost 2 weeks, did not pitch a game, gets DFA'd. That's amazing. His tenure on the Yankees was shorter than Aaron Rodgers.
As a Jet?
How many snaps he played in 2023? It literally draws by comparison. This dude sucked in spring training. He gets put on the roster in the bullpen. And they're like, oh, okay, you'll pitch out of the bullpen. Dude warms up once or twice, collects his pay, and then the Yankees are like, okay, you're done. You've been DFA'd. You're no longer useful. You were probably just as useful as the fucking Bat Boy.
They might as well. I want to know what his warm-up
Bat Boy gets to step on the grass.
You could have added another hitter to take his place. That was just plain stupid.
What a joke.
Yeah, they literally just had somebody that stinks just so that
It's
they
like a
could
practice squad in football.
So they could easily just DFA him and call up Louis Field. That was the whole purpose of it. But I want to know. I want to know exactly what his warm-up pitches were like for him to never freaking take the field. What was he doing? Was he hitting someone in the concession stand? Is his curveball taking off somebody's hat in the stands? Like, what was going on here? Oh man, yeah, Winquist. That was. Oh, by the way, that was one of Cashman's only pickups this offseason.
Yes,
we're gonna sweep that under the carpet though to the Cash defenders. Oh yeah, we're gonna sweep under the carpet that one of the only 5 moves that he made from outside the organization had to be DFA'd without an appearance within a week of the season starting. So, well, I mean, what does that say about Brian Cashman then? Because he signed him. What does it say if he had nothing?
Yeah, do your due diligence.
But my L, it's a good L. I like that one. And my L, I mean, I could give it to the entire roster. I could give it to Aaron Judge, to be fair. But I have a feeling he's going to turn it around. I'm giving the L to Austin Wells. I'm giving the L Austin Wells. 0 home runs, 0 RBIs, 1 extra base hit, 167 batting average, 486 OPS, 200 slug, 200 on base percentage. Absolutely useless. Absolutely useless. I know that he's catching a good series, but I mean, offensively, complete joke. So, and I'm not surprised because this is him. He's not this bad, but this is kind of him. So yeah, I'm giving the L to Austin Wells. Uncle Ted.
I have the entire lineup.
Yeah.
I'll leave off Rosario. But he's not an everyday player. But our everyday starting 9, you should all forfeit your pay stubs. Because you absolutely contributed nothing. Absolutely nothing to this series. And it showed. And that's why, rather than being 9-3, 10-2, we're sitting here at 8-4 because you guys all forgot how to hit a fucking baseball.
Yeah, it's bad. Do I have You're My Boy Blue Award? No. I'm sorry, no one's earned it. No one's earned it. No, I'm sorry, that's going on ice. We're jumping straight into the
I actually did have that blank today. I didn't know what to put.
Yeah. There's I mean, you could maybe make Rosario, but I've given him the credit that he deserves. There's no one really that deserves it. No Boy Blue. So we're gonna get this asshole Aaron Hicks on your screen just to make you feel worse in your day. Right. The Aaron Hicks Award. I'll go last. Uncle Tats. Who's your Aaron Hicks?
I have Brian Cashman.
Beautiful.
Everything that you just proved all of your critics right with this run it back mentality. And I've been trying not to be part of that. But Jesus Christ, like I said, you've got, you got a team with no home coming in and just beating the shit out of you. Yeah, like everything that you said was, you tried to put a positive spin on, blew up in your face. I mean, and then the whole thing with win class, like Lucas said, like it's what has gone right for Cashman this year? I don't get it. I really don't. We referenced it earlier because it was one of the things that I put down, in my side notes with Cashman. We finally got rid of LeMahieu when he was done. So what do? We go back to the Rockies and get McMahon. Okay, great defensive player, can't hit a fucking lick anymore. And I actually thought McMahon was going to have a better start, after having a full full off season with the team and a full spring. I expected better. Shame on me. I should know better. Anybody that Cashman brings in will give us a little spark of hope and then a lifetime of disappointment. Grisham, what the fuck? Nothing. Absolute zero. It's, how sad is that, TC? McMahon makes you miss Josh Donaldson.
Oh, my God.
But when was the last legitimate third baseman that we had that gave you a reliable glove and a dependable bat? Gio Urshela. And you're not even talking about a Hall of Fame player. Gio Urshela's season, that was the last legitimate third baseman that we had.
Unbelievable.
It's Cashman, you fucking blew it. You blew it. Can you still redeem yourself? Absolutely. We're 12 games in. I keep trying to I have to keep telling myself that. We're only 12 games into the season.
He's had a winner.
But Jesus Christ, exactly. Do I think that the top of the lineup is going to be like this the whole year? Absolutely not. You'd have to be a moron to think that Judge, Stanton, and Rice, are not going to figure it out. But, oh, God. Cashman, what did you do? What'd you do to this beautiful organization that we all grew up with?
Fact, bro.
And that's how I'm going to end it.
Yeah, I'm with Uncle Tats. I was going to say Brian Cashman. He absolutely deserves the Aaron Hicks Award for basically, in Donald's words, overcorrecting with the bullpen and the starting lineup. You went from a highly expensive bullpen to a low-cost bullpen with little to no options. You went from a over-righty starting lineup to an over-lefty starting lineup. There's literally no happy medium. He literally over-freaking corrected.
Right, and he went from overpower to now just too many slap hitters. Too many platoon players as well. He went from not enough athleticism to too many platoon players. Like, he always overcorrects. Every decision he makes, he overcorrects. It's weird. Any other points, Luca?
No.
No. All right. No, I mean, I completely agree with you. I mean, at the end of the day, Brian Cashman is the reason for this. I've spent all offseason saying it. I mean, I kind of echo TC Steele's. He says, I've had enough of this. And I've had enough of this too. I mean, what has Brian, as Uncle Tat said, what has Brian Cashman done to a roster, to an organization I'm in love with. I absolutely adore the Yankees. That's why I'm so pissed off about it. Like it hurts. It does. And I know you're going to say, oh, what about their record? Their 8-4 record. Fine, but they've not won anything since 2009. That's the only record that I care about. And I'm not sure really how that's going to change this year because there's just too many holes in this roster. And there's too many people that are too worried about getting access to Brian Cashman, Hal Steinbrenner, and the Yankees. So they just have conveniently glossed over these roster issues and then again attack the Yankee fans, saying it's the Yankee fans' fault that we're not happy with this. And that's the definition of gaslighting. It really is. So that's why I've been so negative about things. I think it's a horrible way to treat a fan base that are so passionate. I don't think there's a fan base in sports across the world that travels as much as Yankee fans do to support their team. They're so financially invested, so financially committed, and our thanks is to be told that we're bad fans because we have high expectations. Miss me with that. But the real Aaron Hicks award for me is somebody who may well be replacing Aaron Hicks on that image, and it could be the McMahon Award because McMahon is playing like Aaron Hicks. McMahon is playing like Josh Donaldson. McMahon is playing like Anthony Volpe. You know how every single season there's an asshole that completely sabotages a season? Last year it was Volpe. Previous years it was Hicks and Josh Donaldson. Well, this year is going to be Ryan McMahon. And listen, I don't even hate Ryan McMahon. I hated Hicks. I hated Donaldson. I hated Volpe. I don't really hate McMahon. I think McMahon's a good, honest ball player. And it's not his fault that he sucks. You know, he's not arrogant. He's a hardworking guy. But that contract was untouchable. You don't go near that contract if you're Brian Cashman. But he ate the entirety of it. And now we're on the hook for him for 2 more years. This is the best McMahon you're going to get right now, by the way, because 2 years from now, can you imagine?
Overcooked. Burned.
So, yeah, I mean, now I'm thinking about it. Maybe Brian Cashman is the freaking Aaron Hicks Award. But, no, honestly, McMahon has been completely useless. And it's killing this lineup. And the problem is his at-bats don't even look competitive. He doesn't even look competitive. He doesn't look like he's just missing. It doesn't look like he's even giving you anything. I don't even see any power in the future with that swing. He just looks late. He looks lost. He looks well off. And then if you look at what he's done as a Yankee, he is barely by the Mendoza line. It might be below the Mendoza line after this past series as a Yankee since last year. This is him, guys. Well, again, and the thing is, you're now paying the dead money of DJ LeMahieu plus this Ryan McMahon contract. You're basically allocated over $30 million to third base that can't hit at all. One that isn't even playing, and the other that shouldn't be playing. That's Brian Cashman again. And once again, I implore the Yankee beat media or true fans to really call this out. Because instead of Joel Sherman telling us to shut the fuck up and other beat media saying, oh, what are you complaining about? This is the kind of stuff we're complaining about. How could you possibly allocate that amount of resource to a position that cannot hit? That's over $30 million. You could have acquired an all-star for that.
Bregman.
Any third baseman. I mean, come on. And then you look at Trent Grisham and his 100 batting average. You couldn't find someone better for almost $30 million? Well, it's almost $60 million allocated right there. The allocation of resources, absolutely disgusting. It's disgusting. It's shameful. And he should be ashamed of himself, but he is shameless. He's a shameless GM. And how could he not have addressed third base in this long? I'm fucking old. I was young the last time we had a third baseman. Seriously. Uncle Tats was in his 30s, maybe his mid-20s the last time we had a third baseman. Now he's 102. I mean, come on. No, seriously, it's beyond belief, and someone needs to call it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I find this comment here from It's Over interesting. Where he's saying that Rousing isn't great, but what is he actually doing as a hitting coach? The Yankees are constantly rotating their hitting coaches.
Yeah.
And we're still having the same issues year after year. So, no, I don't. That's why I'm not calling out any of the coaching staff yet.
No.
Because what the hell are they? Look what they're working with. Like Rousing's got, look, yes, should he be maybe trying to do something different with these guys? Yeah. But, I mean, how many guys can he work with? He's got to work with 9 guys right now. 13 if you count the bench.
I think it's obvious.
And figure them all out. It's so... It's... Yeah. There's no way I could blame Rousing right now or the coaching staff. It all circles back to Brian Cashman's roster construction. And everybody's got to try to figure out what works and what doesn't. And when this is what you're working with, that's a big-ass fucking puzzle to solve.
I think it's obvious if anybody's been reading the tea leaves that Rousing is just a puppet, in my personal opinion. You can name the coaches over the years: PJ Pelletier, Dylan Lawson, Sean Casey, Marcus Timms. It's like in football, if you have a head coach who runs like a very outdated system, then you keep firing the offensive coordinator saying he's the problem, but yet you're hiring new ones every single year and you're running the same damn system. It's arbitrary. Dude, guys,
that's a great analogy.
They could put Uncle Tats in as hitting coach. They could put Donald in as hitting coach. They could put me as hitting coach. It's not going to change. Does anybody seriously think they are telling James Rousing, hey, teach your philosophy? No, that's not how it works. When you've shifted through how many hitting coaches and you see the same problems in the philosophy, that's not a coach thing. That's literally an organizational thing.
Right.
And that's a whole another tangent. I'm just going to stop right there.
Well said. Well said.
I mean, I think the last legit hitting coach we had that was able to do their thing was probably Kevin Long.
Yeah, probably.
I don't think yes, he had a long tenure.
John Casey had his own thoughts on things, and it wasn't in line with.
But he wasn't there long enough to make an impact.
Right.
True.
So Kevin Long, he had a good tenure, along with Rothschild, and you saw the results. And then after a while, it's just that, what their way of doing it just wasn't working anymore, and it was time to move on. I'm not bitter that they got rid of Kevin Long, but that's how far back you have to go, and that's there goes the problem. It's very stagnant. That's why Luca's analogy was spot on. You could change the offensive and defensive coordinators all you want. If the head coach, is still, running the same playbook, what the fuck does it matter?
Facts. Absolutely facts.
I mean, I've never seen so much. Like, it's not like he came in and won 3 straight World Series. Like, what has Boone won?
Not
But
that-
Nothing. I still don't blame him
there's
for
this
this.
fucking loyalty to him.
Yeah.
Like we said, he took over a team that was one game away from a World Series. And with the exception of the Soto year, they've taken a step back every fucking time.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
But that's the guy
Some
that
of
we're
it
going to
is
run
fault,
with.
Some of it isn't.
We have a GM that hasn't been able to produce shit since Stick Michaels' Yankees all retired.
Right.
But let's put all our faith in him.
Great point.
So that's why, yes, it's easier to just go after the players and McMahon and Caballero and Wells and Jazz. But when it starts at the head of the organization, and it's an owner that's just become complacent.
Yeah.
Well,
He's getting his ticket sales. He's second. Oh, can we talk about one more thing? Because next week I'm on vacation, right? And I'm gonna try to jump in when I can. I want to bring up if you've been in the chat, if you guys have been to a game, what is going on with all these troubles with the fucking concessions? They're running out of everything. Have you heard about this? All the new items, they're running out of them.
Well, that's great.
After the
Really?
third inning, you can't get a fucking piece of chicken.
Oh, that's great.
you know what's also insane? Slight subject again.
Yeah,
People are complaining about the crowd. Remember how when it's like 2 strikes or whatever, and they
Yeah.
pump up the loud like whale music or whale noise or whatever, and like a lot of people are pissed about the DJ at Yankee Stadium that he's not doing his job. That's insane.
No,
You don't even have to pump in crowd noise anyway.
I would have a separate award just for this guy because he's making it impossible to listen to the telecast. And I don't really want to listen to the Yankee telecast anyway, but I really don't want to listen to anything. I mute it now because it's just I can barely hear the announcers due to the loud freaking insanity that's going on behind them. Like someone needs to turn this freaking the freaking DJ sound system down a little bit. Like this is crazy.
see, like I know he always say he doesn't like the Imperial Home with the 2 strike. I like that. It's everything else around it that's got to go. It's just too loud. Like we said, you don't need to pump noise into every freaking. We don't need a distraction between pitches.
It's designed for kids. It's for
let
kids.
the crowd feel breathe.
Yes,
Let
exactly.
that fill your airways. Let that
They
be
made
your
it like
background.
going to a
music.
kids pop concert. That's what they've made it.
Yeah.
They made it so like it's like a 12-year-old girl's going to her favorite pop singer's concert. That's what it is. It's just constant stimulation, constant noises, constant flashes, constant this to keep you interested. It's for people with ADHD. I mean, honestly.
Well,
That's
boys,
not
I guess. Well, boys, I guess we're not going to see the Yankees. I guess we're going to go see BTS now.
Right. I mean, like some people actually want to go to the game to actually watch the game, believe it or not.
Feel the atmosphere.
Right? Believe it or not. And believe it or not, I don't need to hear a sound and I don't need to see a video screen flashing all these different shit in order for me to watch a game. And this doesn't happen in other ballparks. They've turned this into an insane situation. This doesn't happen at Fenway. I don't know what the Yankees are doing. Who are they aiming for? Stop aiming at the lowest common denominator. Stop aiming at the tourist. Oh, wow. Big lights. What are we doing here? Oh, I like noises. It's insane. It's insane, please. I just want to watch a ball game. I want to watch a ball game on TV without like what the fuck?
Literally.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, it's like we're at an EDM concert. It's like we're at a house. We're gonna go listen to house music. I'm gonna go to the nightclub real quick downtown and go listen to some house music. Maybe we'll get the same effect.
I didn't do that when I was younger. I want to do it now. But he said, stuff his thing. He's, how can anybody go to the ballpark, watch this embarrassment of a roster? I don't understand. Because look, one, there is something special about going. Donald and I, we go to games every year together. there is something special when you're walking through and you see that grass, come over into your viewpoint. There's something about walking through the gate. There's something special about that the roster can never take away from a fan.
Right.
That's why we still go. It's the sound of the game, not the players on the field. That's how I view it. I don't know if you guys agree.
I agree, Stevie B. Don't let me mute the game now. I actually have muted the last couple of games. Well, unless we're on the road. I actually relieved when they're on the road. I can actually watch it. I can't stand how much music there. Yeah. NES says, all about the dollar, my guy. You are the old man complaining. But I've also mentioned this doesn't happen in other ballparks. And it also doesn't really happen at Madison Square Garden. So it's not really old man complaining. It's an affront. It's pointless. Like, we don't need to do this. You know what I'm saying? If it doesn't happen at Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena, then it shouldn't be happening at Yankee Stadium. Like, who are you aiming for? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't happen at Fenway. It doesn't happen in other ballparks. So it's not about the almighty dollar. It's just about a really bad idea that's been signed off on by the Yankee organization. And it's a bad idea, and it's ruining the experience for people. Like, I'm not saying stop the music. I'm not saying turn it all like to old man level. I'm just saying have it what it was a year and a half ago, where it was normal. You know, like I'm cool with the big atmosphere and stuff, but you also need to allow the game, the atmosphere to grow, naturally evolve. The camaraderie of you and your fellow fan getting excited about a big moment. You need to allow that atmosphere to build naturally, not artificially.
Yeah.
And that's what they've gotten wrong.
It has to be. It's like a guitar player just doing a solo for the entire song. It really doesn't give any extra context to the music.
Right.
The stadium sounds are not going to. Wow, that game. The game was great, and the crowd noise just made it even better. No, nobody's doing that. It's let the sounds of the game take over the airways. Let that be what resonates with everybody, because that's when you build new fans of going to games like me, Donald, Luca. It's and there is a camaraderie when you go to a game.
Yep.
You didn't have to go with the guy sitting next to you. But you guys are all, you're interacting with them like you've known each other your whole life,
Yeah.
So that's another part of it, and you get to meet, you'll get to interact with people that you never get a chance to. Or like TC, we bumped into, me and my son were at a game. We ran into to TC, his brother, and Big Time Jerry. We had a great time, walking around. We did the Monument Park, and, as friends, family, you're able to bond over that. So, going to a game is something. Look, do I go to every game? No. Have I been to a game yet? No. Will I go? Absolutely. My schedule just, unfortunately, my schedule hasn't allowed it. But no, I will be going to games this year, and I'm going to go with the anticipation and the excitement of the opportunity to see my team win.
Yeah.
Outcome's always questionable. It doesn't matter what team you're facing, whether it's the Dodgers or the Marlins. You don't know what the outcome is going to be. But that's the excitement. That's the sounds of the game. The ebbs and the flows. It's just a different atmosphere when you're watching it live as opposed to watching on TV or listening on the radio. And I still very much enjoy it. It's going to be some of my best memories in life.
Right, that's mine too. And I had a great time at the new stadium. It's not even about the old stadium. I've had a great time in the new stadium too, but it's only recently that it's getting really too much, and you're aiming at the lowest common denominator. Stop aiming at the almighty dollar. Stop aiming at kids. Like, try and aim at everybody. Just find a happy medium where you can still have your loud music, but also allow then a natural atmosphere to grow, because that's what you come home remembering. You don't remember what 90s song that they played in this fifth inning or whatever. You don't remember that. You remember the feeling that you had when you saw Aaron Judge hit that home run and your whole tier around you jumping around. That's what you remember. That's the kind of memories you remember when going to a stadium. And that will be ruined if while that's happening, you're hearing boom, 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 or whatever the fuck. It's too much. It's just too much.
A couple things before we sign off. Doran, good to see you in the chat. Was actually worried about you. Hadn't seen you in a few days. But speaking of 90s music, I think Cashman should have to listen to Britney Spears' Oops, I Did It Again on repeat. Every second of the 24/7, 365 until they win a World Series.
Mic drop.
With that, make sure you do hit that like button. Sum up, share this out, your friends, your family. The Strangers on the Corner. This is Pitch Track Chronicles among the Tats with Donald Luca. Hope you all enjoy your week next week. I will definitely be in the background, maybe dropping some shorts from the Carolinas. But with that, enjoy the weekend, and we will be back on Monday, 10:15 as always with you all. So with that, hit the like, sub, share this out, and remember, wear those pinstripes of pride and play hard.